Hello and welcome to episode 7, the final episode of the Guide to Digital, and where we are pulling it all together. So far, we've learned about variables, we've learned about data structures, we've learned about conditionals, loops, and functions in Python. We haven't learned how to code, but we've experienced it. You've gone through it, you've touched it, you've made changes, you've seen how it works. And if you've had any questions, you've gone back and kind of sorted your way through this. We talked at the start about how code is made of small blocks, all building one on the other to build something very complex and very, very powerful. This is how, again, all applications in our world work. Piece upon piece upon piece. Many of those pieces built by somebody else and shared through open source or in another way. And basically just kind of put together to achieve something, to make something happen. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So the project that we've been working on and thinking about through the guide is a leave system. So we're going to take all of these different small little Lego blocks and we're going to put them together to build a program that will actually do just that. So away we go. A reminder, if you're doing these guides separately, you will need to have your own Jupyter Notebook live through Binder on your desktop, through your browser, to make this work. If you need any help, go back to episode 1. That will get you set up. If you've already been following along, remember to run all of the different code blocks because we will be using the variables that we created right at the start in episode 2. Okay, so thanks very much, and let's get going. So putting it all together. So what we're doing is we're going to use all these different pieces to build a script. And a script is basically just a piece of code. It's not an independent program, but it's something that will achieve something. And it is a program, in fact. So what we're going to do is a couple of things. So first, we're going to accept someone's name, and we're going to take a hypothetical leave request. We're going to check the person's current leave credits. We're going to see if they have enough credits left for the request to be approved. If they do have enough credits, we'll approve their leave request, giving them their vacation or their time off with family or whatever else it is that they need. And if we don't, we'll let them know. And we'll apologize because here we're Canadian and we're pretty damn polite. And finally, we'll print all the results and the employee's leave credits. So if you're ready to go, that's what we're going to accomplish probably in the next 5 minutes. So we've already written this out. And again, all of this, feel free to play with it. Feel free to tweak it. Change the text. Change the way that things work. If there is an error, that's fine. You can just go back, change it to the way it was before, reload the notebook. It doesn't matter. You're not going to break anything here. This is just a place to play and to learn. So be comfortable, try different things, and explore. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a function. We're going to do that using def. So we're going to define the function. The function's name is leave request. And the function in the brackets is going to take two variables. It's going to take in a person and it's going to take in the number of hours requested. We have the colon, which is how we let Python know we're defining a function. It's kind of the then. We have white space moving down, which lets Python know that this is not just kind of another line, which means grammatically we're being correct for Python, and it'll keep working. And then you'll see here we've got a little hash and function that reviews leave requests for a person. So the hash sign is actually pretty important in Python and in a lot of programming languages in that it is used to document something. So here, this is not a part of the program. It's not something that's going to be run. The hash basically tells Python to ignore what comes after it on that line. So this is documentation for ourselves and for other people that might be looking at the code coming later. Down below, we actually get into the code. So first, we're going to print that there's a leave request for person, and they are requesting so many hours. So this is just us showing kind of a bit of our work, showing what's happening in the program. And these kinds of things are common. This is a print statement. Other programs might bring something up in the user interface or might flash a message for you or do something like that, but it lets the user know what's going on. We're going to print the name of the supervisor. we're going to create a new variable. The leave balance is going to be using leave credits for the person. So leave credits, if you remember, is a dictionary that we created in episode 3. So if you didn't run that cell, now's a very, very important time to do so. So leave credits, in a dictionary, you have got a key, which is the name of the person, and you have a number of leave credits, which is the value. The key in this is a string. So this gives us a clue as to what kind of values we're passing into the function. So we're going to have leave credits. We're going to take the person that we passed into the leave request function up here, and we're going to check that against the dictionary. If the person doesn't exist in the dictionary, we're going to get an error. So again, make sure that variable is actually part of the program by hitting Shift-Enter on the variable cells up at the top. Then, once we know what our leave balance is, we're going to use a conditional statement. We're going to use an if-then statement to say if the leave balance is greater than equal to the hours requested, and hours requested, you'll recall, we found up here. So this is the other variable that came in. So if the leave balance is more than the hours requested, that means that the person has enough leave, we're going to do something. We will say the leave credits for the person will equal, so we're changing that value in the dictionary, the leave balance minus the hours requested. An example here, say I have 50 hours requested and my leave balance is 60. I'm basically going to take the leave balance, I'm going to subtract the hours requested, which will leave me with 10. And I'm going to replace the value in the dictionary with that 10. We'll see how it works in practice, but you should be able to understand what we're doing. We've got a request for hours. We're going to the dictionary, which is our data, to see if the person has enough. If they have enough, we're subtracting the hours requested. And then otherwise, if they have enough, we're going to subtract the hours requested. And we're also going to tell the user that what we've done and that we've approved it. So that's the next section. We're going to print approved, new balance equals leave credits for the person. And again, that will have been adjusted on the line above. Else, that's if the leave balance is not equal to or greater than the hours requested. In other words, the person does not have enough leave credits for the leave that they've asked for. We're going to print denied. Does not have enough leave, sorry. But we're also going to tell them what their current balance is. And in a program, that might be enough to say, hey, sorry, you didn't have enough time for the week. You do have enough time for 4 days. So maybe you should take that. So again, we're using the program and we're using it to give the user the information they need to do their job and understand their task. And then finally, we're going to print a line. And we're doing that because this is actually going to be something that we use in a loop. So the output, it'll just make it a little bit easier to read, a little bit easier for us to understand. And you'll see how that works. So this is all one code cell. It's all one function. It does one thing, right? It takes in a request for leave with two things, a person and the number of hours of leave requested. It checks the number of hours leave requested against the hours or the credit that the individual, the person has in their leave bank. And then it renders a decision. If they have enough leave, it says yes and changes and updates the hours remaining. If not, it says no. So we're going to hit Shift and Enter, and we're going to run that cell. So again, that doesn't do anything. It's also taking a while, which makes me think that my notebook has dropped. That's taking a long while. So apparently that description took a bit. So then we're going to try a leave request here. And so what you'll see is the asterisk here basically means that it's running in the background, but it probably means that I've talked way too long and the notebook has dropped. So I'm going to need to reload the notebook and I'll be right back. And I'm back. So I needed to reload the notebook. If that happens to you, just go through, you go back up to the top, you rerun all of the code cells up above here, but we're now ready to go. So again, Shift Enter. This time it runs the cell properly. We have number 34. And now that we've created our function, we can call it and we can start using it. So what we're doing here is we're calling the leave request function. We are giving it the person, Anna, and we're giving it the hours requested, 20. So we're going to try and use this. And this would be the same as if you're using a corporate computer system to request leave. You have your name, you've signed in, you're asking for the leave. The function will check you against your leave balances, see how much you requested, and see if you can do it. So let's run it. And the output we have is leave request for Anna, 20 hours. Supervisor is Chris. It is approved, and her new balance is 1 hour. So Anna obviously had 21 hours of leave. She had enough, therefore the system has approved her request. So now that we have our function, we can use it again and again. And we can use it in the other puzzle pieces that we looked at. And one example is putting it inside a loop. So we created a team up above. So the team has got a list of names of people on the team. So we're going to try and use that. And we're going to put in leave requests for each person in team. So for person in the team. So the person is going to become the person in the leave request function, or that we're giving to the leave request function, that the function will then treat as a variable. And then we're going to give it 40 hours. So we're going to ask for 40 hours leave for every person on the team. So if you haven't gone through this all in the same session, you might be wondering, who the hell is in my team and are they the right people in the system? This is a really good thing to worry about, and we're about to see what happens. Turns out the people in our team are the same people who are in our leave request dictionary. So we're good. So as we go through, we look at a leave request for Tom for 40 hours. It's approved. Tom's new balance is 40 hours. Leave request for Mandy, 40 hours. Also approved, new balance, 160 hours, and so forth. You'll notice that Anna, who we know has 1 hour left, put in a request for 40 hours, and it was denied. She does not have enough leave, but we tell her that her balance is 1 hour. And we go further down. So now, what if we run this again? I'm pretty sure you can figure out what's going to happen. Oh, and we'll change this to leave request because obviously that was wrong. Naming is important. Remember, anytime you name a function, name it something that makes sense and that you will remember. So for person in the team, we go through. We have approved Tom's leave request. We've approved Mandy's. Anna still doesn't have enough leave. Ashley doesn't have enough leave either. So basically, we've gone through, we've subtracted another 40 hours. But you'll notice that the leave balances are being updated. So somewhere in the background, we have a dictionary. We have our data that has the people, it has their leave balances, and it's going to keep getting updated as we go through this. So that's an important thing. So what we've learned is not just about functions. We've learned how programs use data. And that very simple thing that we created, the dictionary with a name and a number, that's data. That's data that a program will use. It will ingest that. It will use it in loops. It will execute functions. It will change it, update it, and then it's ready for the next time around. If you have a real application, there will be a database behind this, so it'll be persistent, but the ideas are the same. So understanding this, watching how it works, understanding it, it will really, really help you. So now, before we finish off, we've used up a bunch of our people's leave. That wasn't actually very nice. So we're going to create a new function, a last function before we finish off. And the function is add leave. So here, how we do it, we type in def, we're defining it, the name of the function, add leave, brackets, round brackets, and within the brackets, we're going to add a person, and we're going to add a number of hours of leave. What are we going to do with that? That comes later. So here, we're going to go back to the same dictionary. We're going to use person here to access as the key, to access the value of leave in that dictionary. And then we're going to add plus or equal the number of hours that we added in the variable for the function. So we're going to run this. we've created our function just like that. And now for person in team, so again, we have our list of people in the team. The list of names in the team matches the people in our leave credits dictionary. We're going to add leave, and we're going to add 100 hours of leave for every person. And then in the same loop, we're going to print the person. We're going to print the leave credits that they have. And we've given everybody 100 hours of leave. So what you've seen here seems like it's pretty simple. It took us a couple of minutes. It's a very simple function in Python. But you can use these tools, using variables, using loops, if and then statements, to do practically anything. You could use it to look through 100 documents on a shared drive to see if a certain piece of text is included in those documents. You could do the same thing with 100,000 documents, or 1,000,000 documents, or 100 million documents. You can go through a leave system with 300,000 people and do similar transactions. All of the ideas behind this are exactly the same thing that you see. The difference is in kind of the level of rigor that you need and the level of reliability that you need for a real enterprise system. So going through this, you might come out saying, hey, this is really easy. I could create a corporate leave system. It's a bit more complicated than that, but the ideas are what's important. So what you've seen as we go in here is actually quite a bit. So first of all, high five. Way to go. You've made it through. You've made it to the end. There is a feedback form. I'm going to drop the links in the comments for the video. So please do let me know what you think. Give it a thumbs up. Give it a thumbs down in the comments. Let me know what we could do better or what I could do better. This is really the first try at this, and I'm really interested to see and hear what people's reactions are and whether this is at all useful. Because if it's not, I'm definitely going to not make another one. If it is, there's a lot of other stuff that we could do. So what should you have learned? A lot of different ideas. Again, how do applications work when you see them on your phone, when you are moving around or entering data? Just imagine you and hundreds of thousands or millions of other people entering data at the same time and getting your updates, and the loops and the variables that you're entering and the functions that must be happening behind the scenes to make all of these things happen. That's really the core of it. Another one of the focuses of this guide is just kind of making code a little bit less scary. This was not a learn to program course, but by going in, by running code by yourself, by potentially going in and changing things and breaking them and fixing them again, it shouldn't be as weird. It shouldn't be as arcane. Really, demystifying code was the focus of this. And then giving you a bit better understanding. How could you interact with your IT department now that you know just a little bit about how applications work? How could you work potentially with engineers or data scientists? How do you think about your own business? How could you be working with the data that you're already collecting? Are there things that you could automate? Do you have people on your team with the skill sets to do these kinds of things? Should you? I'd argue that the answer is probably yes, but these are all questions for you. So there's a lot of things that you can do from here. If you're interested in learning more about coding, Codecademy or other sites like that are fantastic. There's a ton of videos. Open learning is amazing these days. So if you do have the interest and you want to dive deeper, there's definitely a ton of places you can go. If this video does fairly well and if people are finding it valuable, the next guide that we're planning is actually based on data and open source. Probably flipped around, open source and data, where we'll be diving into how can you find data, how can you gather it, look at it, understand it, using the same tools that we've used here, and what can you do with it then? How do you make decisions? What is an API? Things like that. So please do let me know what you thought. It was a pleasure being here with you, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you again soon.